Hello friends, welcome to the video lessons on electronic measuring instruments. In today's class, I will explain about dual trace CRO and we will try to solve some simple problems on CRO. But before going to the present topic, let us try to recollect what we have studied in the previous class. In the previous class, we have seen what are the functions of each stage of CRO and what is a triggered sweep. Then what are the front panel controls of CRO and measurements using CRO. CRO basically has got different stages such as vertical deflection amplifier, delay line, then trigger circuit, then sweep generator, then horizontal amplifier and CRT. CRT in turn consists of one electron gun and a vertical deflection plate assembly, a horizontal deflection plate assembly, CRT screen coated with phosphor material, and side walls of the CRT coated with graphite material. The electron gun in turn consists of a heating element followed by a cathode. When heating element provides heat to the cathode, cathodes emits electrons and these electrons are allowed to pass through a control grid, a cylinder coaxial with the CRT and having a hole at the center of the cylinder. Through that hole, the emitted electrons from cathode travel to the CRT screen. The intensity of the electron beam can be varied by changing the negative negative voltage applied on the control grid. The higher the negative voltage on control grid, the lower is the intensity of electron beam. The lower is the negative voltage on control grid, the higher is the intensity of electron beam. Then the electron beam coming out of the control grid will be passed through a set of accelerating anodes. First will be pre-accelerating anode, followed by focusing anode, followed by accelerating anode. These three are provided with very high positive voltages in order to accelerate the electron beam to very high velocities, and at the same time they act as a dual concave lens in order to produce a sharp electron beam at the output of the accelerating anode. Then that sharp and highly accelerated electron beam is made to pass through set of vertical deflection plates followed by a set of horizontal deflection plates, and the electron beam is made to move both in vertical and horizontal directions, and it hits the surface of the CRT screen with very high velocities or with very high kinetic energy. So the kinetic energy of electrons is imparted to the phosphor material, which would be converted into light energy, and on the screen we will find a luminous spot following the position of the electron beam, thus producing a visual display of the applied input signal. Then aqueduct coating is used to collect all secondary electrons ejected from the surface of the CRT screen after imparting kinetic energy. Then triggered sweep circuit is used to produce flicker-free waveform. Whenever it is necessary, a a sweep signal would be generated, and the retrace period of the sweep signal, it will be logged using this triggered sweep. In fact, triggered sweep produces a sweep signal which starts with retrace signal first, followed by a trace signal. Then it will continue at its high value for a given period of time until another trigger input is applied. Once again, second sweep is produced with retrace signal first and trace signal next. Then we discussed about various front panel controls. And the different front panel controls are channel selection controls, then horizontal amplifier controls, vertical amplifier controls, trigger circuit controls. Channel selector controls will control the channel to which the signal is to be applied. That means by using a slider switch, we can select the channel on which the signal has to be appeared. Then horizontal amplifier controls we have seen for amplifying the sweep signal and for increasing or decreasing the sweep time period so that we will get a stable waveform. Then vertical amplifier controls we have seen to increase or decrease the gain of the vertical amplifier, and also to make the electron beam to move up and down on the CRT screen. And trigger controls are used to provide either internal trigger or external trigger or trigger signal from supply mains. Then measurements using CRO. Using CRO, we can measure the time period of the applied input signal. That in turn, we can find out the frequency from time period, and we can also find out the peak to peak value of the applied input signal. We can also find out the phase difference between two applied input signals. Similarly, we can also find the phase difference and frequency of unknown input signal with reference to a known frequency, known phase input signal. So up to this we have seen in the last class. Then coming to the present topic, dual trace oscilloscope. Basically, dual trace oscilloscope is an oscilloscope used to produce two different traces of two separate input signals which are given to the same vertical amplifier, and using different modes such as alternate mode and chop mode, we can see the visual display of both the signals on the CRO screen. Let us see how we can see both the signals using the single source of electron beam. A dual trace oscilloscope can display two traces on the screen at the same time, allowing comparison of the different signals such as the input and output of an amplifier. Suppose if an amplifier is there, what we expect from an amplifier, we expect a faithful reproduction or faithful amplification from an amplifier. That means there should not be any change in frequency, there should not be any change in phase angle, there should not be any change in wave shape. Only change that we expect at the output of amplifier is the amplitude gain in the output signal. So, in order to check the amplifier input and output simultaneously, we can give input of the amplifier to one channel of the dual trace CRO and the output of the amplifier to another channel of the dual trace CRO, and we can see the wave shape like this. Single trace CRO can be converted into a dual trace CRO. The phosphor coating on the CRT has persistence. Hence, non-flickering image is formed on the screen. What is persistence? Persistence is the property of a phosphor material to maintain the luminous spot even in the absence of the electron beam. So, when electron beam hits the surface and imparts kinetic energy, that energy would be converted into light energy and a luminous spot appears on the screen. And that luminous spot appears or it continues to appear on the screen even after the electron beam is disappearing or even when the electron beam is removed from the surface of the screen. So because of this property, first one input signal is applied and in the next cycle of the sweep signal, another input signal is applied. So in the first cycle, when first input signal is applied, the image of that input signal would be appearing on the screen. And in the next cycle, even if we do not apply the sweep signal to the first input, because of the persistence of CRT screen, it continues to appear. At the same time, during the second cycle, second input signal is provided with the sweep signal. So what happens now? The second signal will be swept across the CRT screen and the shape of the second signal now starts appearing on the screen. So by next in the subsequent cycle, once again the first signal would be swept across the screen. In the next cycle, second signal would be swept across the screen. So like this, because of the persistence property of the phosphor material used for CRO screen, we can visualize both the images on the CRO screen simultaneously without any loss in intensity of the image. Now, by viewing two signals at a time, relative time differences can be measured. Relative time differences can be measured. That means first signal and second signal, whether both are starting at the same time or is there any phase difference between them, whether both the signals are having same time period or is there any difference in time period. whether both the signals are having same amplitude or is there any variation in amplitude. So this analysis can be carried out when two signals can be viewed simultaneously on CRO screen. A two-channel oscilloscope has the ability to trigger on each waveform and electronically switch either using chop mode or alter mode between them as well. The pass-bar acts like a low-pass filter and averages several images that are drawn on the screen. Particularly in chop mode, what happens? Both the signals would be continuously chopped. Within split second, the signal appears and next signal appears in the next second. So like that, when both the signals are made to appear on the screen at a faster rate, then the pass-bar material acts as a low-pass filter. That means the high frequency appearing of the screen will be averaged out and we can see only the average value of the image on the screen. The block diagram of a simple dual trace oscilloscope would be like this. It will have two separate amplifiers, amplifier A and amplifier B, to which two separate input signals are applied, and there is a function selector switch for vertical amplifier outputs. You can select either channel A input or channel B input. Now here you can see on the front panel of CRO, you have a slider switch having four different positions corresponding to channel A selection, channel B selection, chop mode selection, alternate mode selection. So when the switch is in position A, then here we have to, when we select the slider switch to position A, then here this switch, selector switch, would connect the vertical deflection assembly to amplifier A or channel A. Similarly, when the slider switch is in position B, this selector switch would connect the deflection system, that is vertical deflection system, to channel B. When alternate mode is switched on, then what happens? During one cycle of the sweep, channel A would be selected. During the next cycle of the sweep, channel B would be selected. And in chop mode, the slider switch would be continuously switching between A and B at a very faster rate, so that the images of both the signals will influence the electron beam that is traveling between the vertical deflection plates, and both the images would be drawn on the CRO screen. And one more is there here. When you go for external trigger, actually here the triggering circuit is provided with the input from either channel A amplifier or channel B amplifier output or external signal. Now depending upon the position of the slider switch here, when it is in position A, this function selector switch would be in position A, and here the trigger select switch also would be in position A. These two work in tandem. Both will be in the same position. When the slider switch is in position B, the function select switch would be in position B, and the trigger select switch also would be in position B. And for chop and alter also. For chop mode, here the function select switch and the trigger select switch would continuously be switching between A and B at a faster rate. Whereas in case of alter mode, the function select switch and the trigger select switch, they will be in position A for one cycle of the sweep and position B for the other cycle of the sweep. Apart from all these combinations, CRO has got the provision to provide external trigger also. To provide external trigger also. In that case, the trigger control switch would be connected to this external position. When the trigger control switch is connected to external position, then vertical input can be either A or B, and at the same time horizontal input also is taken from external input. In that case, we get different patterns called Lissajous patterns that we discussed already in the last class. Let us see what we have discussed already. Alternate mode. This mode uses alternate triggering. With alternate displaying, the two waveforms of any frequency can be stably displayed by alternately showing each channel and triggering on the channel that is being connected. When channel A is connected, sweep would be connected to the signal for channel A. When channel B is connected, the sweep would be connected to signal for channel B. That means it would sweep the beam corresponding to channel B, or it would sweep the beam that would correspond to channel A on the CRT or CRO screen. This way, the oscilloscope is acting like a two beam scope. In fact, there are no two beams, but it would be acting like a two beam scope with both waveforms triggering at the same voltage and slope. Because the slope and voltage are from the single sweep signal. So, but both the signals would be appearing alternately, one in one cycle, the other in other cycle. And how the visual display continues to appear even when the sweep is not available, because of the persistence of the phosphor material. This is how you can see the waveforms in the alternate mode. Here for channel A, the trigger signal is made available from here to here. So this signal continues to appear even in the absence of the electron beam because of the persistence. And for second channel, the sweep signal is applied at this point. So it continues to appear even in the absence of the electron beam because of the persistence of phosphor. So this is how the trigger points are selected at different points of the signal, but in both the cases, the trigger points should be at the same phase. That point is very important. In both the cases, the trigger point should be having or starting from the same phase of the signal. Here it is starting at this point of a cycle. So at the same point of the cycle, the second signal also has to be triggered. That care has to be taken. However, there is no way to know what the relationship is between one waveform and the other when using alternate triggering. Using alternate triggering, you will see the waveforms separately and you cannot go for comparison of these two waveforms. The two waveforms with a different frequency can be shown as two stable waveforms on a normal oscilloscope. In figure 42.2, that is this one, we can notice that if the triggering occurs at the position X, both waveforms are in phase. That is, at the same phase each time the trigger base, each time the time base triggers. The condition for stable display on dual trace CRO in alternate mode. The condition for stable display is not that two waveforms have to be exactly of the same frequency. They can be of different frequencies, that doesn't matter. But that when they triggered, they have to be in the same phase, like this. Whatever may be the frequency of different signals, that doesn't matter. As you can see here, from here to here, one cycle is there. By the time here, 3 cycles are completed, but that doesn't matter. The point of interest is at what instant both the signals are getting triggered. They have to be triggered at the same point of time. Or n is equal to f1, that is the frequency of the first signal, is equal to m into f2, where n and m are integers. There are many other ways to achieve a stable trace when the trigger circuit will wait for the next triggering point. Hold off control on CRO can be used to stabilize the display under such circumstances. We have seen hold off display on the front panel control of a CRO. By adjusting that hold off display, we can get a stable waveform on CRO screen. So, all of this applies only for repetitive waveforms. That means only repetitive waveforms can be visualized and stable display can be achieved. But if any signal lasts only for 1 or 2 cycles, in that case, there is every possibility that we may lose a portion of the input signal because there is a time delay in triggering both the inputs, because both the inputs cannot be triggered at the same time. So definitely any one of the input signals will be, a portion of any one of the input signals will be lost due to delay in triggering. If the triggering is not stable or the waveform is not repetitive, then a constantly moving image or a superimposed image of several signals will be seen. What happens when the triggering is not stable? When the triggering is not stable, the waveform is either repetitive, that means continuously it will be moving uh, from left to right or right to left, or superimposed image of several signals. That is, it appears to be multiple signals appearing on the screen. That is, a number of cycles of the superimposed signals appear on screen. We cannot see any one particular signal on CRO screen and we cannot analyze anything because of the wrong triggering. In the alternate mode, the oscilloscope will sweep the electron beam twice across the screen, one for channel A and one for channel B. First time it will draw the signal from channel A, and it will sweep the signal from left to right, and then next time for channel B it sweeps the signal from channel B from left to right at very low time base settings. You can see it draw one channel and then the other in successive passes. Continuously you can see both the waveforms with very low time base settings. That is, when the sweep timing is very low, then uh, at first cycle first signal is swept. In the second cycle second signal is swept. Because the sweep time period is very less, by the time that third cycle sweeps the first signal, the image of the first signal keeps retained because of the persistence property of password. So that is how you can see stable displays of both the waveforms at very low time base settings. When you use alternate function, the two waveforms that you see are from different points in time, and the triggering circuit has to trigger twice. Now, this is the block diagram of a dual trace CRO. As you can see here, channel A input is applied here, channel B input is applied here. And as we have seen in the front panel controls of CRO, a slider switch is meant for connecting the vertical input to either ground, vertical amplifier either to ground or to DC signal or AC signal. So that provision is available here. Similarly for channel B also, a slider switch connecting either ground or AC input or DC input to the vertical amplifier circuit. Following that switch, there is an input attenuator which can be used for volts per division adjustment. That is, it can either increase or decrease the gain of the input signal or amplifier circuit. And another amplifier circuit is used here, which is meant for position control of the electron beam. By adjusting this, the electron beam can be moved up or down. And the output of this amplifier is given to channel selector switch. You have got a slider switch here, by using which you can connect either channel A, channel B, dual mode or add mode. When the slider switch is in channel A, then here the vertical input switch would be connected to channel A and channel B will be not connected or it will be floating. When the channel selector switch is in channel B position, channel B input is connected to the vertical amplifier through this arrangement. And at the same time, when the channel selector switch is in channel A, here the trigger selector switch also connects the channel 1 amplifier output as input to the trigger circuit. When the channel selector switch is in channel B position, then the trigger selector circuit connects the channel B amplifier output as input to the trigger circuit. Apart from this, external input also can be used as trigger input by connecting the switch to this external position. If external signal is applied, then that signal would be directly bypassed and given to this time-based generator. Otherwise, for channel A and channel B positions, the amplifier output would be connected to trigger circuit, which connects any other form of input signal into a train of pulses. Then the output of that is given to a slope detector, which either can increase or decrease the sweep voltage that is generated at the output. Then trigger level comparator circuit is used to adjust the trigger level. By adjusting the trigger level, you can vary the amplitude of the trigger, that sweep signal, and the time base, that is the times per division. By adjusting this, you can vary the time period of the sweep signal. So that time base is given as input to the horizontal amplifier or x-axis amplifier, that is given to the horizontal deflection plates. That is how a CRO with a single electron gun can be used to select any one of the inputs at a time and produce the image at the output, then selecting the next input in the next cycle of the sweep and producing its output. That is how a dual trace CRO functions. Next, in chop mode, till now we have seen alternate mode. Now in chop mode, what happens is a high frequency input is given as control signal to the channel selector switch. Then the channel selector switch, responding to the high frequency pulse inputs, it will keep on changing the channels from A to B, back to A to B, back to A. Continuously between A and B, it will be changing at a very high frequency. As a result, what happens when the channel selector is connected to channel A, then the luminous spot or image corresponding to channel A appears on the screen. When the channel selector is in channel B position, then the luminous spot corresponding to channel B appears on the screen. Because the channels are changed at a very faster rate, both channel A input and channel B input appears on the screen continuously. And because of the fluorescence of the phosphor material used and the persistence time of the phosphor material used, we can find a continuous waveform of channel A as well as channel B using chop mode, like this. Now, let us try to solve some simple example problems on CRO. First example, the waveform shown in figure 7.24 is observed on the screen of an oscilloscope. If the vertical attenuation is set to 0.5 volts per division, determine the peak-to-peak amplitude of the signal. Quite simple here. As you can see, peak-to-peak amplitude means we have to see in the vertical direction. So it is taking 1.5 division on the up and 1.5 divisions in the down. So put together V peak to peak occupies 3 divisions, and each division corresponds to zero point 0.5 volts. So 3 divisions correspond to 1.5 volts. So the peak to peak voltage of the signal applied to CRO is 1.5 volts. And second example, figure 7.25 shows the waveform of a sinusoidal voltage observed on CRO. The vertical attenuator is selected to be 2 millivolts per division. Calculate the amplitude and RMS value of the sinusoidal voltage. Amplitude means we have to select only peak value, not peak to peak. Peak to peak means from here to here we have to select. But peak value means from center we have to select the peak value. So from center, as you can see here, each division is divided into 5 subdivisions. So one subdivision corresponds to zero point 0.2 of the division. Now here 1 to 2 main divisions and 3 subdivisions. That means from center, the peak value of the signal is having a length of 2.6 subdivisions or 2.6 divisions, and each division is having 2 millivolts. So 2.6 division corresponds to 5.2 millivolts. That explanation is available here anyhow. The peak value is 5.2 millivolts. And RMS value of a sinusoidal signal can be obtained as Vrms is equal to V maximum by root 2. That is 5.2 by root 2 or 5.2 by 1.414, and that comes around 3.6769 millivolts. So that is about the peak value and RMS value of the given signal. Then third example. Now this is when the CRO is used in XY mode and when Lissajous patterns are developed on the CRO screen instead of free running waveforms. Now in that case the problem is given as the Lissajous pattern obtained on the CRO screen by applying horizontal signal of frequency 1 kHz is as shown in figure. Determine the unknown frequency of vertical signal. And here the formula is vertical frequency by horizontal frequency, that is Fv by Fh is equal to number of horizontal tangencies by number of vertical tangencies. Now here horizontal tangencies, as you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Vertical tangencies are 2. So Fv by Fh is equal to 5 by 2, or Fv is equal to 5 by 2 into 1 kilohertz, that is 2.5 kilohertz. So the frequency of the vertical signal is 2.5 kilohertz. Another example. A Lissajous pattern on the oscilloscope is stationary, having 8 vertical maximum values, that means 8 vertical tangencies and 6 horizontal maximum values, that means 6 horizontal tangencies. Calculate the frequency of vertical input if the frequency of horizontal input is 1800 Hz. Fh is given as 1800. The formula is Fv by Fh is equal to number of horizontal tangencies by number of vertical tangencies. So Fv by 1800 is equal to number of horizontal tangencies are 6, number of vertical tangencies are 8. So Fv is equal to 6 by 8 into 1800, that is equal to 1350 Hz or 1.35 kilohertz. So the frequency of vertical input signal is 1.35 kilohertz. So we have seen the indirect measurement of frequency with known value of frequency. Now the indirect measurement of phase using Lysage's patterns. Suppose when a signal when two signals of same frequency are applied, then we get different Lysage's patterns, and we have seen how to calculate the values in the previous classes. Now here, suppose if a ellipse appears like this, which is major axis in first and third quadrants, then the formula to find the phase angle is given as sin phi is equal to y1 by y2, or vertical intersection divided by vertical tangency, or is equal to x1 by x2. That is horizontal intersection by horizontal tangency. So phi is equal to either sine inverse of x1 by x2 or sine inverse of y1 by y2, and the angle phi would be either within first quadrant or in third quadrant, that is between 0 and 90 degrees or 270 and 360 degrees. Sorry, yes, 270 and 360 degrees. When the major axis of the ellipse falls in the second and fourth quadrants, in that case, the angle is this, and it can be found out as sin phi is equal to y1 by y2, or phi is equal to sine inverse of y1 by y2. But the original angle is this portion, that is this angle. If we assume to be phi, then the actual angle phi is the actual angle, say, if we assume this to be theta, the actual angle phi is 180 degrees minus sine inverse y1 by y2, and this angle would be negative generally. A problem is given here in which an ellipse is formed as Lysage's pattern, which indicates that both frequencies of the two signals are same, but they are at different phase angles. And how much is the phase angle? We have to calculate using this graticule measurement and the formula application. According to the graticule measurement, what is y1? y1 is 1 and 3 subdivisions, so 1.6, or else you can say 5 plus 3, 8 subdivisions, and y2 is 10 subdivisions. So y1 by y2 is 8 by 10. So angle phi is sine inverse of 8 by 10, that is 53.13 degrees. So this is how we have to measure phase angle using Lysage's pattern, frequency using Lysage's pattern. And of course, direct method that is by using the waveform on graticule by measuring the time period and peak to peak amplitude can be directly measured using graticule of the CRO screen. So this is all about the block diagram of dual trace CRO, alternate mode and chop mode of application of dual trace CRO, and few problems on CRO. The next topic is on CRO probes that we'll see within a short duration. Please stay connected. Thank you.